The financial industry has sold us a retirement lie so big that 76% of Americans now believe they'll never be able to retire. The $1 million benchmark isn't just misleading. It's mathematically flawed for most people's actual needs. I'm about to walk you through the data-backed strategies that are helping real people retire successfully on $500,000 or less. We'll cover the 4 psychological barriers preventing effective retirement planning and the exact 3-step framework you can use to create your personalized retirement blueprint that requires substantially less capital. The $1 million myth. Why the financial industry is wrong about your retirement number. Did you know the average American has less than $135,000 saved for retirement? Yet we're constantly told we need $1 million. This magical $1 million number has been drilled into our heads for decades. Financial advisors mention it in consultations, retirement calculators default to it, and investment companies splash it across their marketing materials. It's become the universally accepted benchmark for a comfortable retirement. But here's the thing. This one-size-fits-all approach is not just misleading, it might be completely wrong for you. Let's think about where this $1 million figure actually came from. The financial industry didn't pull it out of thin air, but they did base it on a set of assumptions that might not apply to your life. They typically calculate this number using the famous 4% rule. The idea that you can withdraw 4% of your nest egg annually with minimal risk of running out of money over a 30-year retirement. With $1 million, that gives you $40,000 per year in income. But this calculation makes some pretty big assumptions. It assumes you'll need to replace 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income, that you'll live for exactly 30 years after retirement, that inflation will behave predictably, and that you'll have zero income from other sources. When was the last time life worked out exactly according to those kinds of assumptions? The anxiety this creates is real. When people hear they need $1 million to retire, and they only have $135,000 saved, or less, many just give up. Why even try if I'm never going to get there, becomes the mindset. A study by the Employee Benefit Research Institute found that 42% of Americans have calculated how much they need for retirement. And of those who have, nearly half reported feeling not too confident or not at all confident they could reach that number. That's a retirement crisis waiting to happen. The truth is that the financial industry benefits when you believe you need more money. Higher savings goals mean more assets under management, which means more fees for them. The longer you keep investing, the more they earn from your money. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but there's definitely a financial incentive for companies to emphasize higher savings targets. Let's pull back the curtain on some of the outdated assumptions baked into that $1 million myth. First, it assumes everyone will retire at 65 and live until exactly 95. But retirement age varies widely. Some people work into their 70s by choice, others leave the workforce in their 50s. And while planning for longevity is important, basing everyone's calculations on the same 30-year timeline ignores individual health factors and family history. Second, these calculations usually assume a fixed inflation rate, typically around 2 to 3%. But inflation doesn't hit all expenses equally. Healthcare costs have consistently outpaced general inflation, while technology has gotten cheaper over time. Your personal inflation rate depends on your individual spending patterns. Third, traditional retirement calculations ignore the changing nature of work. The binary model of working full-time, then not working at all, is increasingly outdated. Many retirees continue earning income through part-time work, consulting, or gig economy jobs, income that significantly reduces the pressure on their savings. Perhaps most importantly, the $1 million benchmark completely ignores geographic flexibility. The difference in cost of living between San Francisco and San Antonio is dramatic. A retirement that requires $80,000 annually in Boston might cost just $40,000 in many parts of Florida or the Midwest. For those willing to consider international options, the savings can be even more substantial. What we need instead is personalized retirement planning based on your actual life, not some arbitrary number. Start by asking, what kind of lifestyle do I actually want in retirement? Where do I want to live? What activities bring me joy that don't cost much money? What skills do I have that could generate some income if needed? The financial industry rarely encourages this kind of lifestyle-first approach because it's harder to sell products that way. It's much easier to scare people with a big number and then offer investment solutions to help them reach it. But retirement planning should start with your life, not with a calculator. Think about Maria and David, a couple who were told they needed $1.2 million to retire. After looking at their actual spending patterns and desired lifestyle, they realized they could maintain their quality of life on much less. By choosing to retire to a medium-sized city with lower housing costs, planning to work part-time for their first 5 retirement years, and focusing their budget on things that truly made them happy, they created a retirement plan requiring just $600,000 in savings, half of what they were originally told. We've been conditioned to think about retirement primarily in terms of accumulated savings. But what if we approached it differently? What if retirement planning started with designing the life you want, and then figuring out how to fund it? This approach, lifestyle design rather than arbitrary savings targets, often reveals that you need much less than you thought. This doesn't mean saving isn't important. It absolutely is. But the fixation on a specific number, especially one that feels impossibly high for many Americans, creates unnecessary fear and discouragement. And it misses the point of retirement planning, which is to create financial security and happiness, not just to hit a numerical target. The alternative approach I'm suggesting might sound radical in a financial world dominated by save more messages, but it's actually more realistic. It acknowledges that retirement security comes from multiple sources. Savings, yes, but also social security, housing equity, part-time work, location flexibility, and spending adjustments. For many Americans, a careful combination of these factors can create a comfortable, secure retirement with far less than $1 million in savings. And recognizing this fact might be the motivation many people need to start saving in the first place. When the goal feels attainable, people are more likely to take action. The $1 million retirement myth creates a false binary. Either you save enough to reach this arbitrary threshold, or you're doomed to a retirement of poverty and struggle. The reality is far more nuanced. There's a wide spectrum of retirement possibilities between luxurious and destitute, and many people can find happiness and security with modest savings and thoughtful planning. Inflation's hidden tax, understanding the real value of your money over time. While modest savings and thoughtful planning might get you to retirement, inflation is playing a different game entirely. Think inflation is just a boring 3% number that barely matters? Here's the shocking truth. That small percentage will silently cut your retirement purchasing power nearly in half over 20 years, transforming your carefully saved $500,000 into effectively $275,000 when you need it most. This invisible wealth thief never sleeps and works against you 24/7. Most retirement calculators show a simplified version of inflation, but the reality is far more dangerous. Inflation doesn't just affect your money a little bit. It fundamentally changes what your savings can actually buy when you finally stop working. Let's make this real. Remember when movie tickets cost $5? Today, that same ticket runs $15 or more. A gallon of milk that cost $2.50 in the early 2000s now costs nearly $5 in many areas. This isn't just random price increases. It's the systematic erosion of your dollar's value over time. What makes inflation particularly tricky is that it doesn't hit all parts of your life equally. While the current U.S. inflation rate hovers around 3.2%, this average masks huge variations in different spending categories. And guess what category consistently outpaces general inflation? Healthcare, the exact expense that becomes more important as you age. For a 65-year-old retiring today, healthcare costs alone will consume approximately $165,000 of their savings over their lifetime. And that doesn't even include potential long-term care expenses, which can be astronomical. These medical costs aren't just rising at the general inflation rate. They're racing ahead much faster, creating a double threat to your retirement security. Let me show you how this works with real numbers. If you've managed to save $100,000 today and inflation continues at just 3% annually, in 10 years, you'll need over $134,000 to buy the exact same goods and services. But here's the flip side. That $100,000 will only have the purchasing power of about $74,000 a decade from now. Your money is literally shrinking while sitting in your account. Now multiply this effect across a 20 or 30-year retirement, and you can see why inflation deserves to be called the silent thief. It doesn't make headlines like market crashes, but it steadily drains your financial resources year after year after year. Traditional retirement calculations often use a fixed inflation rate, typically around 2 to 3%, but this oversimplification can leave you dangerously exposed. The reality is that inflation fluctuates and can spike unexpectedly. Remember the 9% inflation rates of 2022? Those months of high inflation permanently decreased your money's value, and there's no automatic correction when inflation rates drop again. Plus, your personal inflation rate might be significantly different from the national average. If you live in an area with rapidly increasing housing costs or have chronic health conditions requiring ongoing care, your actual expenses might rise much faster than general inflation metrics suggest. This is why retirement planning that doesn't properly account for variable inflation rates across different spending categories often leaves retirees coming up short. As one financial expert puts it, failing to account for inflation can result in underfunded retirement accounts and a reduced quality of life. Those aren't just words. They represent real people forced to dramatically cut back their lifestyles or even return to work in their 70s and 80s. So what can you do to fight back against this wealth-eroding force? You need to incorporate inflation-fighting strategies directly into your retirement plan. One powerful option is Treasury Inflation-Protected Securities, or TIPS. Unlike regular bonds, TIPS automatically adjust their principal value based on changes in the Consumer Price Index. This means that as inflation rises, so does the value of your investment, providing a direct hedge against inflation's corrosive effects. Similarly, I-bonds offer inflation protection by combining a fixed interest rate with an inflation-adjusted rate that changes twice yearly. During periods of high inflation, I-bonds can provide significantly better returns than traditional savings vehicles while maintaining government backing. Beyond these specialized investments, certain types of annuities can provide inflation-adjusted income streams throughout retirement. While annuities aren't right for everyone, those with inflation protection features can help ensure your income keeps pace with rising costs of living over decades. Don't forget about the power of stocks as an inflation fighter. While more volatile in the short term, the historical returns of diverse stock investments have consistently outpaced inflation over long time periods. Even during retirement, maintaining some exposure to equities can help your portfolio maintain purchasing power. Real estate investments can also serve as inflation hedges. Whether through direct property ownership, REITs, real estate investment trusts, or other real estate vehicles, these assets tend to appreciate alongside inflation, particularly in growing markets. The key is understanding that your retirement strategy needs to specifically address inflation, not just accept it as an unavoidable evil. By deliberately incorporating inflation-protected investments and growth assets, you can significantly reduce inflation's impact on your long-term financial security. Think about it this way. If you knew a thief was planning to take 3% of your money every single year, you'd take immediate action to stop them. Yet many retirement plans effectively shrug at inflation, treating it as a minor inconvenience rather than the wealth destroyer it truly is. This approach becomes even more critical when working with more modest retirement savings. If you're aiming to retire with $500,000 rather than $1 million, you simply can't afford to let inflation eat away at your nest egg unchallenged. Every dollar must work harder and smarter. The good news is that understanding inflation's impact allows you to plan proactively. By calculating your true inflation-adjusted needs and building a portfolio specifically designed to combat inflation's effects, you can protect your purchasing power over decades of retirement. This might mean adjusting your investment mix to include more inflation-resistant assets, relocating to areas with lower inflation rates, or developing income streams that naturally increase with inflation. The specific approach depends on your situation, but the important part is acknowledging inflation as a major retirement risk that requires specific countermeasures. Remember that seemingly small percentage differences compound dramatically over time. A retirement portfolio that grows at 7% annually while inflation runs at 3% provides a real return of about 4%. But if inflation rises to 4% while your returns stay the same, your real return drops to 3%, a 25% reduction in your portfolio's growth power. Over decades, this can translate to hundreds of thousands in lost purchasing power. The 4 psychological barriers preventing effective retirement planning. While inflation steadily erodes your purchasing power over decades, something even more powerful might be working against your retirement goals: your own psychology. What if I told you that the biggest obstacle standing between you and a comfortable retirement isn't in your bank account, but in your brain? Let's unpack the 4 psychological barriers that might be secretly sabotaging your financial future. The numbers are truly shocking. 68% of Americans admit they're more afraid of running out of money than they are of dying. This isn't just financial anxiety. It reveals something much deeper about our relationship with retirement planning. Even people who understand compound interest formulas and tax-advantaged accounts struggle with retirement planning. Why? Because financial knowledge alone isn't enough when our own minds are working against us. Let's start with the first psychological barrier: the identity crisis. Many of us don't realize how much of our self-worth is tied to our careers until we face retirement. Think about it. One of the first questions we ask when meeting someone new is, "What do you do?" Your job isn't just your income source. It's a major part of how you see yourself and how others see you. When retirement approaches, this creates an unexpected emotional hurdle. Without that professional identity, many retirees feel adrift, questioning their purpose and value. I've seen clients with solid financial plans suddenly hesitate at the retirement finish line because they're terrified of losing the meaningful work and relationships that define them for decades. This fear can lead to poor financial decisions, either working longer than financially necessary or, conversely, rushing into retirement without proper planning because they're burned out. The second barrier is present bias, our brain's tendency to prioritize immediate rewards over future benefits. This is why it's so hard to save for something 30 years away when you could upgrade your phone or take a vacation today. Present bias isn't just about lacking willpower. It's actually hardwired into our brains. When faced with the choice between enjoying $1,000 today or having $1,500 in retirement, our psychological wiring makes us dramatically discount the future value. This explains why so many Americans struggle to save adequately despite knowing they should. The emotional reward of spending now simply outweighs the abstract benefit of having more money decades later. This bias becomes even stronger when markets are turbulent or when financial news creates anxiety about the future. The third barrier might be the most insidious: loss aversion. Studies show that the pain of losing money feels about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. This evolutionary protection mechanism served our ancestors well when conserving resources was crucial for survival, but it's a retirement killer in the modern world. Loss aversion explains why many people, especially as they approach retirement, make overly conservative investment choices. They'll happily accept guaranteed 2% returns over potential 7% returns if it means avoiding any possibility of losing principal. The problem? These ultra-cautious investments often fail to outpace inflation, creating the very outcome they're trying to avoid: running out of money in retirement. The painful irony is that by trying to protect themselves from market volatility, many retirees are virtually guaranteeing they'll lose purchasing power over time. The fourth barrier is something many of you have probably experienced: analysis paralysis. Today's retirement landscape offers endless options: traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, 401(k)s, HSAs, annuities, dividend stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, target date funds. The list goes on. When faced with too many choices and complex decisions, our brains often respond by shutting down. This overwhelm leads to inaction or default choices that aren't optimized for our situation. I've seen countless people leave their retirement funds sitting in cash for years because they couldn't decide on the perfect investment strategy. Others stick with their employer's default 401(k) option without ever checking if it aligns with their goals. This paralysis can cost hundreds of thousands in lost growth opportunity over a lifetime. What makes these barriers so challenging is that they operate largely below our conscious awareness. You might think you're making rational retirement decisions based purely on numbers, but these psychological forces are influencing your choices behind the scenes. So what can you do to overcome these mental roadblocks? The first step is awareness, simply recognizing these barriers at work in your own financial thinking. But awareness alone isn't enough. For the identity crisis, start exploring what will give you purpose beyond your career before you retire. Experts suggest aligning your personal values with your retirement goals. If teaching has been your passion, Perhaps tutoring or mentoring can provide that same fulfillment in retirement. Building your retirement identity before you need it creates a bridge to cross when the time comes. To combat present bias, try making your future self more concrete. Research shows that people who see age-progressed images of themselves save significantly more for retirement. You might also benefit from automation. Setting up automatic transfers to retirement accounts before you ever see the money removes the temptation to spend it now. For loss aversion, education is key. Understanding how inflation affects purchasing power can help you see that safe investments actually carry their own significant risks. Working with a financial advisor who can provide perspective during market downturns may help prevent emotional decisions that lock in losses. To overcome analysis paralysis, consider simplifying your approach. Sometimes a good enough decision now is better than a perfect decision never made. Focus on the few factors that matter most: your savings rate, broad diversification, and keeping fees low, rather than trying to optimize every aspect of your financial plan. Behavioral economists emphasize that developing a sustainable spending plan is crucial for addressing the fear of running out of money. When you have clarity about how much you can safely spend in retirement, you can enjoy your savings without the nagging guilt or anxiety that plagues many retirees. The key to conquering these psychological barriers is adapting your approach as your circumstances change. Retirement planning isn't a set-it-and-forget-it proposition. It requires the $500,000 strategy. How half the money can create full financial freedom. Adapting to a new approach doesn't just apply to psychology. It's the foundation of a retirement strategy that's changing how people plan for their future. What if I told you that $500,000 could actually fund a comfortable retirement? It's not about having more money in the bank. It's about creating smarter systems that maximize every dollar you've saved. That couple in their 60s who retired with $487,000? They're not an anomaly. They represent a growing movement of people who've discovered that retirement isn't about hitting an arbitrary number. It's about building the right strategy around whatever you have. But first, we need to redefine what retirement actually means. The traditional view of retirement as a cliff edge, working full-time one day and never working again the next, is outdated. Modern retirement is more of a transition, a gradual shift from full-time work to a more flexible lifestyle that balances leisure with purpose. So let's talk about how $500,000 can actually work. The famous 4% rule suggests that retirees can withdraw 4% of their retirement savings annually, adjusted for inflation, without running out of money over a 30-year retirement period. For a $500,000 portfolio, that means an initial withdrawal of $20,000 per year. But wait, you might be thinking, $20,000 a year doesn't sound like much. And you'd be right if that was your only source of income. But that's where the magic of income layering comes in. According to the Social Security Administration, the average monthly Social Security benefit as of January 2024 is approximately $1,860 per month, which translates to about $22,323 annually. Combine that with your $20,000 from savings withdrawals, and suddenly you're looking at over $42,000 a year, without touching your principal investment. Think about what that means. A couple receiving 2 Social Security checks plus strategic withdrawals from a $500,000 nest egg could potentially generate $60,000 plus in annual income. That's more than enough to live comfortably in many parts of the country. Now, some financial experts suggest that in today's low-interest rate environment, a more conservative withdrawal rate of 3% to 3.5% might be more prudent. Even at 3%, you'd still be able to withdraw $15,000 annually from your $500,000, which, combined with Social Security, provides a solid foundation. This is where the concept of income layering becomes crucial. Instead of relying solely on one source of income, successful retirees build multiple streams that work together. Think of it like constructing a layered cake rather than a single tier one. Layer 1. Social Security provides your base guaranteed income that continues as long as you live and adjusts for inflation. Layer 2. Your retirement account withdrawals add the next level of support. Layer 3. Any pension benefits you might have from previous employers. Layer 4. Part-time work doing something you enjoy, which we'll explore more in the next section. Layer 5. other passive income sources like rental properties, dividends, or interest. Each layer might be modest on its own, but together they create a robust income structure that can support your lifestyle without requiring $1 million nest egg. The beauty of this approach is its flexibility. During years when the market performs poorly, you might lean more heavily on your Social Security and part-time work while giving your investments time to recover. In good market years, you might take a bit more from your investments and work less. This multi-source approach also provides significant psychological benefits. Research indicates that retirees with diverse income sources report higher satisfaction and financial security compared to those who rely solely on their savings. There's something deeply comforting about knowing you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Remember that couple who retired with just $487,000? They implemented this exact strategy. By carefully budgeting their expenses and planning strategic withdrawals, they created a sustainable retirement plan. Their approach wasn't about deprivation. It was about prioritization and smart planning. They also utilized a phased retirement approach, gradually reducing their working hours while beginning to draw from their savings. This strategy accomplishes two important things. It extends the longevity of retirement funds and creates a smoother psychological transition into retirement. This phased approach has another benefit. It allows your investment portfolio more time to grow. If you're working part-time and covering some of your expenses through that income, you might only need to withdraw 2% from your retirement accounts instead of 3 to 4%. That lower withdrawal rate dramatically increases the sustainability of your savings over a 30-plus year retirement. Let's put some numbers to this. If you retire at 65 with $500,000 and withdraw 4%, annually $20,000, your money has a high probability of lasting until you're 95. But if you can reduce that withdrawal rate to 3%, $15,000, by supplementing with part-time income, your probability of success increases even further, potentially extending your portfolio's life indefinitely if investment returns remain reasonable. What's particularly powerful about this approach is that it works regardless of your exact savings amount. Whether you have $400,000, $500,000, or $600,000, the principles remain the same. It's about creating a sustainable withdrawal strategy and complementing it with other income sources. This strategy also provides protection against one of retirement's biggest fears, running out of money. By diversifying your income sources, you're not completely dependent on market performance or any single source of funds. If one income stream underperforms or disappears, the others can help compensate while you adjust your plan. The financial industry has a vested interest in pushing the narrative that you need massive amounts of savings because they typically earn fees based on assets under management. More savings mean more fees for them. But for you, what matters is having enough to support your desired lifestyle, not hitting an arbitrary number. Social Security plays a much more significant role in this equation than many people realize. For someone who earned an average income throughout their career, Social Security might replace 40% of their pre-retirement income. If you were earning $70,000 before retirement, that's potentially $28,000 a year in guaranteed, inflation-adjusted income for life. When you add in strategic withdrawals from your $500,000 portfolio, suddenly a comfortable retirement doesn't seem like such a distant dream. It becomes an achievable reality with proper planning and realistic expectations. The key insight here isn't that $500,000 is magically enough for everyone. It's that your retirement needs are highly personal and dependent on multiple factors beyond just a lump sum in your account. Where you live, how you structure your income, what lifestyle you want to maintain, and how you approach healthcare costs all play crucial roles in determining your actual number. This $500,000 strategy isn't about settling for less. It's about optimizing what you have through strategic planning. It's about understanding that retirement security comes from building multiple income streams rather than just accumulating a giant pile of savings. Flexible income models, combining part-time work, gig economy, and passive income. Multiple income streams aren't just smart financial planning. They're the foundation of a retirement revolution that's changing everything. Remember John, who retired at 58 with just $420,000? He now makes $30,000 a year doing what he loves, and his retirement account barely gets touched. The surprising truth is that combining part-time work, gig opportunities, and passive income could mean you need hundreds of thousands less in savings. The traditional retirement model, working full-time until 65, then suddenly stopping completely, is quickly becoming a relic of the past. This all-or-nothing approach doesn't just create financial pressure. It often leads to identity crises and even depression among retirees who suddenly lose their professional purpose. Enter phased retirement, the flexible approach that's gaining massive popularity. According to a 2023 survey by Principal Financial, more than half of today's workers plan to gradually reduce their hours before fully retiring. This isn't just about money, it's about finding a better life balance. Take Judith Ward's experience. This certified financial planner made the switch to part-time work and found it transformative. In her words, "It's more comfortable to work longer in this way than with the grind of full-time work." That sentiment captures why so many are embracing this flexible approach. It combines the best of both worlds. The beauty of phased retirement is its flexibility. You might start by negotiating reduced hours at your current job, perhaps working 3 days a week instead of 5. Or you could transition to project-based work, taking on specific assignments that interest you without the full-time commitment. Some retirees even use their decades of experience to mentor younger colleagues or provide training, creating meaningful work that fits their desired schedule. What makes this approach revolutionary is how it transforms retirement planning. When you continue earning even modest income in retirement, the math changes dramatically. If you can earn just $1,500 monthly doing work you enjoy, that's equivalent to having an additional $450,000 in retirement savings based on the 4% rule. Suddenly, that $500,000 nest egg starts looking a lot more viable. But what kind of work options exist for retirees who want to keep one foot in the professional world? The possibilities are broader than most people realize. Consulting roles that leverage your existing career skills are perfect for phased retirement. You bring decades of valuable experience that companies are willing to pay for, but on your terms. This might mean helping your former employer with specific projects, working with smaller businesses that can't afford full-time expertise, or even becoming an expert witness in your field. For those looking to try something completely different, nonprofit work offers meaningful engagement with causes you care about. Museums, hospitals, schools, and community organizations often need part-time staff who bring professional skills and life experience. These roles typically offer more flexibility than corporate positions while providing social connection and purpose. The gig economy has created a whole new universe of opportunities perfectly suited for retirees. Freelancing platforms like Upwork and Fiverr let you market specific skills, from writing and editing to graphic design or bookkeeping, on a project basis. Teaching platforms connect you with students looking to learn anything from language skills to musical instruments. Even the sharing economy offers flexible income through platforms that let you monetize your home, car, or other assets. These options aren't just theoretical, they're being used successfully by thousands of retirees right now. Take Maria, who retired from corporate accounting at 62. She now spends about 10 hours weekly handling bookkeeping for 3 small businesses she loves, a local bakery, a flower shop, and an art gallery. This generates around $1,200 monthly while keeping her skills sharp and her social connections active. Or consider Robert, who turned his woodworking hobby into a retirement business selling custom furniture pieces through Etsy. He works when he wants, creates beautiful items he's proud of, and earns enough to cover most of his monthly expenses without touching his retirement accounts. Beyond active income, building passive revenue streams can be a game changer for retirement security. While nothing is truly 100% passive, these options require significantly less ongoing time commitment while still generating regular income. Rental properties have long been a favorite passive income source for retirees. A single rental unit can generate $500 to $1,500 monthly, depending on your location. With property management services handling day-to-day headaches, many retirees find this arrangement provides steady income with minimal involvement. Dividend-paying stocks offer another reliable passive income stream. Companies with long histories of stable or increasing dividend payments provide quarterly income checks without requiring you to sell your investments. This approach works especially well in retirement accounts where the dividends can accumulate tax-deferred or tax-free. Digital passive income has exploded in recent years, with options like creating online courses, writing ebooks, or developing apps. The beauty of digital products is they can be created once and sold repeatedly. While there's significant upfront work, the ongoing maintenance is minimal compared to the potential returns. What many don't realize is how these flexible income approaches deliver benefits beyond just financial security. They keep you mentally sharp, socially connected, and physically active. All factors research links to longevity and happiness in retirement. Studies consistently show that retirees who maintain some form of meaningful work report higher life satisfaction than those who stop completely. The financial advantages extend beyond just the additional income. Continuing to work part-time allows you to preserve your retirement savings longer, giving them more time to grow. It can also help you delay claiming Social Security benefits, which increases your monthly payout by approximately 8% for each year you wait beyond full retirement age, up to age 70. This strategy creates a powerful snowball effect. The combination of continued contributions to retirement accounts, delayed withdrawals, and potentially higher Social Security benefits can dramatically reduce the total savings you need before transitioning away from full-time work. Consider this example. Sarah retired from teaching at 62 with $475,000 saved. By working just 12 hours weekly as a tutor making $20,000 annually, she covers nearly half her living expenses. This allows her to withdraw just 2% from her retirement accounts instead of 4%, dramatically extending how long her money will last. Plus, she's delaying Social Security until 70, which will increase her lifetime benefits by over $100,000. The flexibility of this approach also provides crucial protection against market volatility. During market downturns, you can increase your work hours temporarily to avoid selling investments at depressed prices. This helps solve one of the biggest risks in retirement planning, sequence of returns risk, where poor market performance in the early retirement years can permanently damage your financial security. Building these multiple income streams takes planning, but the payoff is enormous. Increased financial security, greater flexibility, and often a more fulfilling retirement experience. The key is starting this planning well before traditional retirement age, ideally 5 to 10 years before you plan to leave full-time work. Begin by inventorying your marketable skills and interests. What work would you find meaningful and enjoyable? What income could each option realistically generate? How many hours would you be willing to work? These questions help create a personalized, flexible income plan that matches your specific situation. Geographic arbitrage. How your location choice can double your retirement dollars. Your location choice might be the most powerful retirement hack you've never seriously considered. While most people focus solely on how much to save, where you live can dramatically multiply your retirement dollars without requiring a single extra hour of work or dollars saved. Did you know that the exact same $500,000 retirement fund that barely lasts a decade in some U.S. cities could fund 25-plus years of comfortable living just by changing your zip code? This geographic arbitrage strategy is revolutionizing retirement planning for those with modest nest eggs. Let's look at the numbers that make this so compelling. In Boston, you'd need to budget around $2,450 monthly just for a one-bedroom apartment. Drive south to Orlando, Florida, and that same housing need drops to just $1,200, cutting your biggest expense in half instantly. These aren't small differences. They're retirement game changers that could mean the difference between stretching your savings for decades or watching them disappear in just a few years. The impact becomes even more dramatic when we consider international options. That same one-bedroom apartment that costs $2,450 in Boston? In Chiang Mai, Thailand, you could rent a nice two-bedroom place for just over $300 per month. And if that's not impressive enough, similar accommodations in Vientiane, Laos, go for about half that amount. We're talking about housing costs that are literally 1/10 of what you'd pay in many American cities. Housing is just the beginning of your geographic advantage. Every major expense category varies dramatically by location. Let's break them down. Housing typically represents 30 to 40% of most retirees' budgets, making it the expense most influenced by location. Beyond rent or mortgage payments, property taxes can vary from under 0.5% in some states to over 2% in others, a 400% difference on the exact same property value. Healthcare costs show equally stark contrasts. While Medicare provides a foundation for American retirees, out-of-pocket expenses vary tremendously. Some international destinations offer high-quality healthcare at a fraction of U.S. costs. In Mexico and Costa Rica, for instance, you can access excellent medical care for substantially less than you'd pay stateside, even with insurance. Many retirees report paying cash for procedures that would cost thousands in the U.S. while receiving more personalized care. Tax considerations create another layer of geographic advantage. Some U.S. states like Florida, Texas, and Nevada charge no state income tax, instantly preserving more of your retirement income compared to high-tax states like California or New York. Internationally, several countries have favorable tax treaties with the U.S. that prevent double taxation on Social Security benefits and other retirement income. Transportation costs plummet in walkable communities or places with reliable public transit. Many international retirement destinations allow you to live comfortably without owning a car at all, eliminating insurance, maintenance, fuel, and depreciation expenses in one move. Food and entertainment expenses vary not just by cost, but by lifestyle quality. In many international destinations, eating out regularly becomes affordable rather than an occasional splurge. Fresh local markets often provide better quality produce at lower prices than U.S. supermarkets. Let's explore some specific destinations that offer exceptional value while maintaining a high quality of life. Within the U.S., smaller cities in the Midwest and Southeast often provide the best combination of affordability and amenities. Places like Knoxville, Tennessee, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania offer vibrant cultural scenes, good healthcare access, and housing costs 50 to 70% lower than coastal cities. The Southwest deserves special mention for retirees seeking warm weather without coastal price tags. Cities like Tucson, Arizona, and Las Cruces, New Mexico combine desert beauty with significantly lower costs than Phoenix or Santa Fe while maintaining access to quality healthcare and recreation. For those willing to consider international options, the possibilities expand dramatically. Portugal has become a favorite among American retirees for its combination of European charm, excellent healthcare, temperate climate, and remarkably affordable living costs. A comfortable lifestyle that would require $70,000 annually in many U.S. cities can be achieved for $30,000 or less in cities like Porto or Silver Coast towns. Mexico offers the advantage of proximity to the U.S., making visits from family and friends more practical. Popular expat communities in places like Lake Chapala, San Miguel de Allende, and Puerto Vallarta offer established networks of English-speaking residents alongside authentic Mexican culture. Monthly budgets of $1,500 to $2,000 can provide a lifestyle that would cost triple that amount in many U.S. locations. Costa Rica continues to attract retirees with its stable democracy, excellent healthcare system, and commitment to environmental preservation. The Pura Vida lifestyle emphasizes connection to nature and community rather than consumerism. Southeast Asia presents perhaps the most dramatic cost advantages, with Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam offering exceptional value. In these countries, $2,000 monthly can fund a lifestyle that would require $6,000 or more in the U.S., complete with regular dining out, household help, and frequent travel. But geographic arbitrage isn't just about saving money. It's about optimizing your retirement experience. Many retirees report that their overseas moves led to unexpected benefits. Healthier lifestyles with more walking and fresh foods, closer community connections, and renewed sense of adventure and purpose. Of course, moving abroad comes with practical considerations. Healthcare access tops the list for most retirees. Countries like Mexico and Costa Rica have developed both public and private healthcare systems that cater to expatriates, often with U.S.-trained doctors at a fraction of U.S. costs. Many retirees maintain catastrophic coverage in the U.S. while paying cash for routine care abroad. Visa requirements vary widely by country. Many nations in Central America offer specific retirement visa programs requiring proof of stable monthly income, often $1,000 to $2,500 or sufficient savings. Portugal's D7 visa has become popular among American retirees, requiring proof of roughly €8,400 annual income per person. Research these requirements carefully as they change periodically. Banking and financial management across borders requires planning. Many retirees maintain U.S. bank accounts and investment accounts while opening local accounts for day-to-day expenses. Online banking and international transfer services have simplified this process dramatically in recent years. Family connections remain important for most retirees. Consider locations with good internet infrastructure for video calls and reasonable flight connections for visits. Many successful international retirees budget for 1 to 2 extended trips back to the U.S. annually or maintain part-time residences in both countries. The power of geographic arbitrage becomes even more impressive when combined with other strategies we've discussed. For instance, the part-time work that generates $20,000 annually in the U.S. might fund your entire lifestyle in many international locations, allowing your retirement savings to continue growing untouched. Let me share a quick case study that brings this to life. One American couple moved from an expensive Midwestern city to a small town in the same state, reducing their housing costs by over 50%. This single move allowed them to live comfortably on a retirement building your $500,000 retirement blueprint, a 3-step framework. That Midwestern couple's story is impressive, but what if you could design your entire retirement plan on a single sheet of paper? Most people discover they need far less saved when they use the simple 3-step framework I'm about to show you, one that transforms retirement planning from overwhelming to completely achievable. Let's face it, retirement planning feels impossible for a reason. Most tools out there fall into 2 frustrating categories: oversimplified calculators that spit out unrealistic numbers, or complex spreadsheets that require a finance degree to understand. No wonder 78% of Americans feel overwhelmed when planning for retirement. What you need isn't another complicated financial model. You need a straightforward blueprint that actually works for real people. This framework has helped thousands of everyday Americans create realistic retirement plans that require significantly less capital than traditional approaches suggest. Let's break down this powerful 3-step process that can fit on a single page. Step 1. Lifestyle design. What do you actually need? The foundation of your retirement blueprint starts with a clear understanding of what your ideal lifestyle truly costs. This isn't about following some arbitrary rule like you need 80% of your pre-retirement income. It's about getting specific about your personal needs and wants. Start by creating 3 distinct budget scenarios based on your desired lifestyle choices. First, your minimal budget, the bare essentials you absolutely must cover: basic housing, food, healthcare, utilities, and transportation. This represents your financial floor, the minimum amount needed to survive comfortably. Next, your comfortable budget, which includes everything in the minimal scenario plus regular small pleasures. Occasional dining out, modest travel, some entertainment, and gifts for loved ones. For most people, this represents their actual target lifestyle. Finally, your ideal budget includes everything in the comfortable scenario plus your dream items. Perhaps extended international travel, a vacation home, generous support for family, or expensive hobbies. The power of separating your budget into these 3 tiers is that it reveals something crucial. The gap between your minimal and ideal scenarios might be smaller than you think. One retiree I worked with discovered their minimum annual expenses were $38,000, while their ideal lifestyle only required $62,000, a much narrower range than they expected. This step also forces you to distinguish between true needs and optional wants. When you analyze your current spending, you'll likely find significant amounts going toward things that won't matter in retirement. One client realized they were spending $12,000 annually on work-related costs, commuting, professional clothing, convenience meals, that would disappear entirely in retirement. The beauty of this approach is its flexibility. You're not locked into a single magic number. You're creating a personalized range that reflects your actual values and priorities. Step 2. Income mapping. Visualizing your money timeline. Once you understand what your retirement lifestyle truly costs, the next step is identifying all potential income sources and creating a visual timeline of when each becomes available. This step is crucial because retirement income rarely arrives all at once. Some sources kick in at specific ages, while others might fluctuate over time. Your income map creates clarity by showing exactly when different streams become available. Start by listing every potential income source: Social Security benefits, pension payments, if applicable, retirement account withdrawals, part-time work, rental income, royalties, or other passive income streams. For each source, note the age when it becomes available and the expected monthly amount. For example, Social Security can begin as early as 62, but waiting until 70 maximizes your benefit. Part-time consulting work might taper off gradually over your 70s. Rental property income might continue indefinitely. Now, create a visual timeline that shows your income streams from retirement until age 95. This creates what financial planners call an income floor. The guaranteed minimum income you can count on each year regardless of market performance. Many people are surprised to discover their income floor covers most or all of their minimal budget needs. The income mapping process reveals powerful insights about timing. One couple discovered they only needed to bridge a 4-year gap between retirement at 63 and claiming Social Security at 67, dramatically reducing how much they needed to save. This approach also highlights strategic opportunities. For instance, if your income map shows lower income in your early retirement years, you might take advantage of those low-income years for Roth conversions, significantly reducing your lifetime tax burden. Step 3. Gap analysis and solutions. Bridging any shortfalls. The final step brings everything together by comparing your lifestyle costs. Step 1. With your expected income. Step 2. To identify any gaps and develop specific strategies to address them. For each phase of retirement, calculate the difference between your expected income and desired expenses. This creates a clear picture of where shortfalls might occur and how large they might be. The remarkable thing about this gap analysis is that many people discover their shortfalls are significantly smaller than expected, often just a few $100s monthly rather than thousands. This transforms an overwhelming problem into a manageable challenge. For any gaps you identify, you have multiple strategies available. You can adjust your withdrawal strategy from savings to fill specific gaps. Rather than withdrawing a fixed percentage annually, you might take larger withdrawals during certain periods to bridge specific income gaps. You could implement flexible withdrawal strategies like the buckets approach, where you divide your savings into short-term, mid-term, and long-term buckets with different investment strategies for each time horizon. Dynamic spending adjustments can help too. Planning to spend more in your active early retirement years and less in later years often aligns with natural spending patterns anyway. You might explore specific income-generating strategies for particular gaps. For example, if you identify a 5-year gap before a pension kicks in, you might focus on building a CD ladder or bond portfolio specifically designed to generate income during that period. The power of this gap analysis is that it transforms retirement planning from a single overwhelming challenge into a series of smaller, manageable decisions. Instead of asking, "Do I have enough to retire?" you're addressing specific questions like, how can I generate an extra $400 monthly between ages 67 to 72? Regular monitoring and adjustments are crucial as well. This isn't a one-time exercise, but an ongoing process. By reviewing your plan annually, you can make small course corrections before small issues become major problems. Many people who use this framework discover they can retire comfortably with far less savings than they initially thought. One couple found they could retire 3 years earlier than planned once they realized their actual gap was just $850 monthly, easily covered by very part-time consulting work they actually enjoyed. Tools like retirement calculators can help visualize how long your savings will last with various withdrawal strategies. These calculators allow you to test different scenarios and see the impact of various decisions on your financial future. Real-life success stories. Meet people who retired on $500,000 or less. While calculators and frameworks provide the theory, nothing proves a concept like real-world success stories. You might wonder if anyone has actually retired comfortably with just $500,000 or less. The answer is a resounding yes. I've found several everyday Americans who turned this seemingly impossible challenge into their daily reality, and their methods might surprise you. Let's meet some real people who are living proof that retirement on modest savings isn't just possible. It's happening right now. Sarah's story challenges everything conventional retirement wisdom preaches. At 62, she stepped away from her career with just $380,000 in savings, less than half of what financial advisors typically recommend. Today, she enjoys a lifestyle that's actually more fulfilling than her working years. Her strategy wasn't finding more money. it was making smarter choices about how to use what she had. What makes Sarah's approach revolutionary is how she redefined retirement success. Rather than focusing solely on accumulating a massive nest egg, she carefully analyzed her actual expenses and built a lifestyle that prioritizes meaningful experiences over costly possessions. Sarah discovered that many of her work-related expenses disappeared in retirement, immediately reducing her monthly budget without sacrificing quality of life. "My secret wasn't more money," Sarah explains, "but rather my strategic planning and lifestyle choices." She carefully tracks her expenses, takes advantage of senior discounts, and prioritizes spending on what truly brings her joy, mostly experiences with family and friends rather than accumulating more stuff. Now let's look at Ed and Wendy Immerman, who I call the Transition Masters. They ran a successful public relations agency, but weren't ready to completely stop working when they decided to leave the full-time grind. Instead, they created a phased retirement approach that brilliantly bridges the gap between full employment and complete retirement. The Immermans relocated from an expensive metropolitan area to Charlotte, North Carolina, where their cost of living dropped significantly. This move alone dramatically extended their savings potential. But the real genius of their plan was continuing to work part-time in their field. This strategy accomplished three crucial things. It kept their health insurance coverage intact, allowed them to keep contributing to their 401k plans, and provided meaningful structure while slashing the stress of full-time work. Our phased retirement allowed us to keep our health insurance and continue contributing to our 401k while enjoying a more relaxed lifestyle, they shared. This approach demonstrates how gradually stepping away from work, rather than abruptly stopping, can create a sustainable transition that protects both financial and emotional well-being. Not every retirement story has a perfect beginning. Robin DeLucia's experience serves as an important reality check. She initially retired at 70, thinking her savings would be sufficient. However, she soon discovered her funds weren't stretching as far as she needed and had to return to work part-time. Robin's story highlights a crucial lesson. Retirement planning requires ongoing adaptation. What makes Robin's experience valuable is how she adjusted when faced with this challenge. Rather than seeing her return to work as a failure, she embraced it as an opportunity to generate additional income while staying engaged with her community. She now works 15 hours weekly in a local shop, which provides both social connection and financial stability. Robin's story reminds us that retirement isn't always a straight line. Having contingency plans and remaining flexible can turn potential financial challenges into new opportunities for growth and connection. Perhaps the most unconventional approach comes from a solo retiree who embraced what I call strategic minimalism. This individual made the conscious choice not to own a home, a decision that runs counter to traditional retirement advice. Instead, they rent modest apartments in lower-cost areas, allowing for flexibility and eliminating expenses like property taxes, maintenance, and homeowners insurance. This strategic choice enables them to live comfortably on $17,000 to $20,000 annually from their $500,000 nest egg. Without the anchor of home ownership, they can relocate based on seasonal preferences or cost considerations. They've discovered that freedom from maintaining a property translates to more time for hobbies, travel, and relationships, the elements that actually create retirement satisfaction. I'm comfortable retiring with $500,000 because my lifestyle choices, such as not owning a home and living in lower-cost areas, allow me to maintain a modest annual budget, they explained. Their approach demonstrates how challenging conventional wisdom about homeownership can dramatically reduce retirement expenses. Another inspiring example comes from a couple in their 60s who retired last year with just $487,000 in combined savings. They've created what I call a symphony of income by orchestrating multiple modest revenue streams rather than relying solely on their savings. Their strategy involves carefully timed Social Security claims that maximize their benefits combined with strategic withdrawals from their retirement accounts. They've also rented out a small guest house on their property, creating an additional $850 monthly income stream that significantly reduces pressure on their investment portfolio. What's fascinating about their approach is how they've transformed what seemed like insufficient savings into abundance through income diversification. Each income source might be modest individually, but together they create a robust financial foundation that supports their desired lifestyle without depleting their principal too quickly. We've seen several distinct paths to successful retirement with modest savings, but what common themes emerge? First, location flexibility proves to be one of the most powerful tools. Whether moving to a lower-cost area within the U.S. or exploring international options, strategic relocation can instantly stretch retirement dollars further. Second, traditional retirement's all-or-nothing approach is outdated. The most successful retirees often incorporate some form of part-time work or income generation that provides both financial security and personal fulfillment. Third, lifestyle design trumps arbitrary savings goals. Those who thrive in retirement with less than $500,000 have clearly defined what matters most to them and eliminated expenses that don't support those priorities. Fourth, housing decisions have an outsized impact. Whether downsizing, relocating, or choosing to rent instead of own, housing choices can dramatically reduce monthly expenses. Finally, these successful retirees aren't rigid in their approaches. They remain flexible, willing to adapt their spending, living situations, and income strategies as circumstances change. These real-life examples prove that retiring comfortably with under $500,000 isn't just a theoretical possibility. It's happening right now for people who combine smart planning with flexible thinking. The common thread isn't exceptional wealth or unusual circumstances. It's thoughtful preparation and a willingness to challenge retirement conventions. Addressing the what-ifs, managing risks in a $500,000 retirement. The healthcare elephant in the room shouldn't keep you up at night. But let's be honest, it often does. While we've seen inspiring stories of successful $500,000 retirees, there's still that nagging voice wondering, what happens when life throws a curveball at my carefully planned retirement? After all, a retired couple might need over $350,000 just for healthcare costs through retirement. And that's not even counting potential nursing home expenses projected to reach $124,000 annually by 2025. But before you panic and think you need that elusive million-dollar portfolio after all, let's talk about strategic risk management. The difference between thriving and merely surviving with modest savings comes down to how well you prepare for these what-if scenarios. Healthcare costs are typically retirees' biggest financial worry, and for good reason. While Medicare provides valuable coverage, it doesn't cover everything. Smart retirees prepare by considering long-term care insurance while they're still healthy enough to qualify for reasonable rates. Another powerful tool is maxing out health savings accounts, HSAs, before retirement, which offer triple tax advantages: tax-deductible contributions, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for qualified medical expenses. For those facing major procedures, medical tourism presents an intriguing option. Having a knee replacement in Mexico or Thailand can cost 50 to 70% less than in the United States while maintaining high-quality care. Many retirees find that researching international medical options gives them an emergency backup plan that significantly reduces stress about potential healthcare costs. Market downturns represent another significant retirement risk, especially early in retirement. Imagine watching your carefully saved $500,000 drop by 30% just as you start withdrawing from it. This scenario, known as sequence of returns risk, can devastate even the most careful plans. This is where the bucket strategy proves invaluable. Think of your retirement savings as divided into different time horizon buckets. Your immediate needs, 1 to 3 years, stay in cash or cash equivalents. Medium-term needs, 4 to 10 years, in conservative investments, and long-term needs, 10-plus years, in growth-oriented assets. During market downturns, you can draw from your cash bucket while giving your growth investments time to recover, eliminating the need to sell investments at a loss. James, a teacher who retired with $490,000, implemented this approach before the 2020 market crash. While his friends panicked watching their portfolios plummet, James calmly continued his normal withdrawals from his cash bucket. By the time he needed to tap his growth investments again, the market had recovered and his principal remained intact. The third major concern is longevity risk, the possibility of outliving your money. With life expectancies increasing, many retirees now need to plan for 30-plus years of retirement expenses. Longevity insurance offers an elegant solution. Unlike traditional annuities that start paying immediately, longevity insurance, also called a deferred income annuity, begins payments much later, typically at age 80 or 85. For a relatively modest premium paid at retirement, you can secure guaranteed income for your later years when other resources might be depleted. For example, a 65-year-old might invest $50,000 in longevity insurance that starts payments at age 85. This creates a pension that continues for life, regardless of how long you live, providing critical protection when you're most vulnerable to running out of money. Deferred annuities represent another option. These allow you to convert a portion of your savings into guaranteed lifetime income starting later in retirement. The key advantage is knowing you'll have income security no matter how long you live, even if your other investments don't perform as expected. Inflation spikes pose yet another threat to your retirement security. While we've touched on inflation's erosion power previously, preparing for unexpected inflation surges requires specific protective measures. Treasury inflation-protected securities, TIPS, and I-bonds automatically adjust with inflation, providing a valuable safeguard. TIPS increase their principal value when inflation rises, while I-bonds combine a fixed rate with an inflation-adjusted component that changes semi-annually. A strategic allocation to these investments creates an inflation shield that protects your purchasing power. Additionally, dividend-growing stocks from companies with a history of increasing their payouts above inflation. Rates can provide both income and growth over time. Companies that have raised dividends for 25-plus consecutive years, known as dividend aristocrats, often provide reliable inflation protection. The final major risk category involves unexpected family financial needs. Many retirees find themselves supporting adult children through job losses or helping aging parents with care expenses. Without preparation, these situations can derail even the most carefully planned retirement. Creating a specific family emergency fund separate from your retirement accounts provides financial and emotional protection. Determining in advance how much you can afford to help family members and communicating those boundaries clearly prevents emotional decisions that could compromise your own security. Linda and Mark, who retired with $510,000, set aside $30,000 specifically for potential family assistance. When their daughter faced unexpected medical bills, they could help without touching their retirement funds. Having predetermined limits allowed them to be generous while protecting their own financial security. What makes these risk management strategies particularly powerful is their complementary nature. A comprehensive approach combines elements from each category, creating multiple layers of protection. The goal isn't eliminating all risks. That's impossible, but rather creating a resilient financial plan that can withstand life's inevitable challenges. For example, Robert and Susan's retirement strategy incorporates buckets for market protection, tips for inflation defense, part-time consulting work for additional income, and a modest longevity policy. This diversified approach gives them confidence that no single risk factor can derail their retirement. The key is understanding that risk management for modest retirement savings isn't about having more money. It's about being more strategic with what you have. A $500,000 portfolio with thoughtful risk mitigation often provides more security than a $1 million portfolio without proper protection. Remember that these strategies aren't one-size-fits-all. Your personal situation, risk tolerance, and priorities should guide which protective measures make the most sense for your retirement plan. Many successful retirees find that working with a fee-only financial planner who specializes in retirement income planning, even for just a few sessions, provides valuable perspective on which risks pose the greatest threats to their specific situation. The beauty of this approach is that it transforms retirement planning from a simple savings target into a comprehensive protection strategy. Rather than obsessing over hitting an arbitrary number like $1 million, focus on building multiple layers of protection around whatever you've managed to save. Expert advice consistently emphasizes that a comprehensive risk management approach matters more than a specific savings number. By diversifying income sources, utilizing inflation-protected investments, and planning for unexpected family financial needs, the new retirement can create remarkable security. Why starting now even with modest savings? Time isn't just money when it comes to retirement planning. It's actually your most valuable resource. While comprehensive risk management creates security with modest savings, there's something even more precious than cash for your retirement journey, and it's slipping away from you every single day. The surprising truth? A whopping 91% of retirees wish they had started planning earlier, not because their bank accounts needed more zeros, but because they needed more of something that no amount of money can buy: time to develop their strategy. Let's be honest, most of us fall into the "I'll start when I have more money" trap. We tell ourselves that retirement planning can wait until we've got enough saved up. But this mindset gets it completely backward. The power of retirement planning isn't in how much you start with. It's in how early you begin mapping out your strategy, regardless of your current balance. The good news: recent legislation has created unprecedented opportunities for average earners to maximize even modest savings. The Secure 2.0 Act, passed in 2022, introduced game-changing provisions like the Savers Match, which provides federal matching contributions for low to moderate income workers. Starting in 2027, this program will provide up to $1,000 per person annually, or $2,000 for married couples filing jointly, in free government contributions to retirement accounts. That's potentially $20,000 to $40,000 in free retirement money over a 20-year period. But only for those who've already set up their accounts and started contributing. Think about what that means. Someone with just $10,000 saved who begins strategizing today could potentially benefit more from these new provisions than someone with $100,000 who waits 5 years to start planning. It's not about having the perfect amount saved. It's about positioning yourself to leverage these opportunities as they emerge. What's fascinating is that research consistently shows retirement happiness has less to do with the size of your nest egg and more to do with the quality of your planning. Retirees who spend time developing comprehensive strategies, regardless of their account balance, report significantly higher satisfaction levels than those who save more but plan less. Why? Because thorough planning helps you envision and create the lifestyle you actually want, rather than chasing an arbitrary number. The pandemic dramatically transformed what retirement looks like for millions of Americans. While previous generations viewed retirement as a complete exit from the workforce, today's retirees place greater emphasis on flexibility and meaningful engagement. Many now seek to phase into retirement gradually, balancing part-time work with leisure activities, a model that requires less upfront capital but more advanced planning. This shift has created a new retirement reality where planning quality trumps savings quantity. Those who begin developing their retirement vision earlier, even with modest savings, can design lifestyles that require significantly less capital while providing more fulfillment. The traditional retirement model demanded massive savings because it offered little flexibility. Today's flexible approaches require less money, but more strategic thinking and preparation time. Technology has opened doors that simply didn't exist for previous generations of retirees. Remote work opportunities and gig economy platforms allow retirees to supplement their income while enjoying more active lifestyles. Many retirees are embracing digital nomadism, living in lower-cost areas while maintaining income through online work, effectively stretching their retirement savings further than ever before. But here's the catch: leveraging these technological advantages requires preparation. Learning new digital skills, building online networks, and testing income models takes time. Those who begin exploring these options years before traditional retirement age find themselves with viable, enjoyable income streams when they're ready to step away from their primary careers. Those who wait until retirement to start exploring these options often struggle to build momentum. Think about the difference between two hypothetical retirees. The first has $400,000 saved, but spent 5 years before retirement developing a location-independent consulting business that generates $25,000 annually. The second has $500,000 saved, but no alternative income sources, who has more financial security and lifestyle options. The first retiree can withdraw less from their savings, extending its lifespan, while doing work they've already determined they enjoy. This scenario wasn't created by more money. It was created by starting the planning process earlier. The most powerful aspect of starting your retirement planning today isn't the extra compound interest you'll earn, though that's significant. It's the opportunity to test different lifestyle models, explore location options, and develop income strategies before you need them. It's about discovering that you actually hate the beach retirement you've been dreaming about, or finding out that teaching online courses is more fulfilling than you expected. These discoveries can completely transform your retirement needs calculation. I've seen clients cut their required retirement savings by 30 to 40% after spending time exploring alternative retirement models and discovering options that required less capital but provided more satisfaction. But these discoveries only happen when you start the planning process early, regardless of your current savings level. The biggest misconception about retirement planning is that it's primarily a financial exercise. In reality, it's a lifestyle design process with financial components. The financial industry has perpetuated the idea that you need to reach a certain number before retirement planning becomes relevant. This approach has left millions of Americans feeling that retirement planning isn't for them yet, precisely when they would benefit from it most. Starting your retirement planning today, even if you have modest savings, allows you to 1. Position yourself to benefit from new legislation like the Savers Match. 2. Explore location options that could dramatically reduce your required savings. 3. Test flexible income models before you need them. 4. Discover which retirement lifestyle elements truly matter to you. 5. Build the skills and networks needed for post-career income opportunities. 6. Develop the risk management strategies we discussed in previous sections. Each of these advantages has little to do with your current savings balance and everything to do with giving yourself the time to explore, test, and refine your approach. Remember that personalized retirement blueprint we discussed? The one focusing on lifestyle design, flexible income, and strategic planning? It works for people at all savings levels, but its effectiveness multiplies when you start implementing it earlier. Someone with $50,000 saved who begins working with this framework today will likely create more retirement security than someone with $250,000 who waits 5 years to start. The pandemic has fundamentally reshaped what retirement means, creating opportunities that simply didn't exist 5 years ago. Opportunities that favor those who start planning now, even with modest savings. Are you positioning yourself to take advantage of this new retirement reality? So here's what no one's telling you. While the average American thinks they need nearly $1.5 million for retirement, that number is often wildly inflated. Throughout this video, we've seen how strategic planning can create a comfortable retirement with half that amount or less. Geographic arbitrage is a game changer many overlook. By relocating to areas where your dollar stretches further, you can dramatically enhance your retirement lifestyle without needing that mythical million. Combined with flexible income streams and thoughtful planning, $500,000 can provide the freedom you're seeking. Ready to take action? Download our free $500,000 retirement blueprint worksheet and spend just 30 minutes filling it out today. This simple step puts you ahead of most Americans in retirement readiness. Remember, the ultimate retirement goal isn't a specific dollar amount. It's building a life so fulfilling you don't need to escape